work with them. And they do all of their manufacturing overseas. So all of it happens there. They prototype a few things with us, but you know, I think the image of like locally made designer goods, they definitely have that. But that's a huge company that's mass producing their products, so it's a little bit different.
And they're actually going to countries like third world countries to use like child labor, which is not really good. It's like
I don't know.
yeah,
But yeah, it's like
So when you were rendering these images or rendering the product, like sometimes when you render it and then when you actually print it, it kind of seems and feels different. So how many prints did it take for you to actually say, all right, yeah, this is what I like, you know, this actually looks good. I would like, it's worth selling. Like it matches the look and feel on both. You know.
You know, in that case, what we did and what you should do is make it first and try to make your rendering look like the real thing.
Oh, right.
Don't like render some perfect image and then like what you're actually selling doesn't match.
So go from a prototype, then go digital, and then recreate.
You know, like I think like when you work digitally a lot, you tend not to do the mock-up.
Yeah.
Always do the mock-up. Like even when it's crappy, just do the mock-up. And like show your friend the mock-up instead of your sweet rendering, because that's closer to the truth. And if you need someone to answer, will you buy this? Like you obviously want to show them the thing that you can actually deliver. So what we did was we spent tons of time making our own texture maps, like custom texture maps to match the actual finish of the finished product. So yeah, it's like, it's hard work, but you could put in the sweat equity instead of having to like invest a lot of money and things that you
because you'd end up wasting a lot of prints just trying to get it right. So I was like, sometimes it doesn't match the look, so how do you get that exact? So I mean, it makes sense now that you go from like recreating the product instead of trying to create it from scratch, I guess.
Yeah, you have to kind of go back and forth. Like imagine the ideal, but like also see how feasible it is. Sometimes what you actually create can show you things that you couldn't have thought of. Like the FDM prints, they have that ugly striation.
Yeah.
We did that and we're like, okay, we got to use this striation thing to our advantage. You know, let's make it a design feature instead of something I'm going to try to hide. So once you work with the medium or the process, you figure out like what's beautiful about that thing, and then you make that like the feature. And then of course when you're designing it, when you're rendering it, that becomes like more cohesive.
So as the Hot Pot Factory, do you do your own jewelry now, or are you just working with other people to help them make their stuff?
Okay, so our jewelry story ends a little bit abruptly and a little bit prematurely. So when we were doing well, it was like, oh, this is cool, like, but you know, maybe I shouldn't quit my job just yet. And the fashion jewelry like industry is crazy. So I was a designer, you know, we learned about manufacturing. I was starting to do like a little bit of PR. We were like pitching our story to publications and stuff to get published. But you know, the thing I knew was like the design world. We can pitch it to D-Zine and we can pitch it to like Design Milk. That was actually not so hard. But if I wanted to pitch it to Flair or like Vogue, like that's like a big ecosystem that I didn't know about. And at that time, because we had gotten a lot of press just like doing this interesting thing like that not a lot of people were doing, we were tempted by other sources of income. So people came up to us and wanted us to do this and that and that, and like I think at the time we were gravitating towards things that we knew how to do and that we knew we could like kick butt doing. So we took like commissions to do like museum work, we did commercial work, and we did corporate work. And I think like I could say now that it may not have been such a good idea. Like if I could just like not be tempted by that and like literally try to go to all the fashion shows and try to butt it up with all the fashion people and really go for it, do the thing that I was uncomfortable doing, then maybe we could have like really taken it to a point. But that would have been the harder thing to do at the time, and we didn't do it. That was just like a personal choice we made. So we took all of that work, and then the jewelry kind of like slowly became the side project because it was a harder project to do. And I would say like being who we were at the time, we probably weren't the ones to like push it and make it like be big, because we weren't interested in doing like a small business. If we were gonna do it, like it was gonna be big. And I was like, what am I more likely to succeed in? This like stuff that I knew, or maybe the stuff that was harder? So we decided to go the kind of like, well, we kind of chickened out a little bit. You know, it was scary to say I'm gonna be a fashion company. So we did the consulting and everything, and that was like really successful. And we built up the firm and like taught workshops. We got the entire city engaged. It was really fun. We were able to like quit our jobs and start paying ourselves through that experience. Now I'm in like a position where, okay, I'm gonna say no to all the consulting work because it actually doesn't scale. If you're doing kind of like consulting work, we can only do it hour by hour. So then now we're investing into production. So right now we've been doing production for 2 years, and we built that up so that it's self-sustaining. So we help all kinds of people like you guys, companies, designers, to actually make the products for them, prototype for them. And now we have enough momentum to try product again. So I'm literally in the process of launching a new product. And the great thing about where I am now versus before is we have the manufacturing ability in-house. We learned, like I've learned probably 2 years worth of like on-the-ground sales experience. I was not in it for being a salesperson, but you really have to be at the end of the day. So I spent the last 2 years like trying to be good at that and sort of being good at that. So
you
now
have to be,
we
like,
can actually
talking all the time, you know?
yeah, making friends, like all kinds of stuff. So now we're ready to do the product thing again. And like it feels like the longest road, but it's kind of like you're kind of more ready to do all the things. When you're young, you're like, oh, I could do anything. But then you realize, oh shit, like there's lots of different things. There's lots involved. Like you have to be a really good salesperson. You need distribution for your product. You need newspapers to write about you. Sitting in your, developing it is hard enough. Like making the product work is hard enough. But on top of that, you have to sell it to make it work. So it's like a ton of work.
Sorry. Just would like to ask, like, you said you were a designer, like for industrial design?
It was not in industrial design, funnily enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was in architecture design.
Where in the city?
We studied in Waterloo,
Okay.
and I worked in Toronto for quite a few years.
Okay.
That's so
Like
weird,
I
'cause
just,
Oh,
I
did you?
wanted to ask in terms of like, you have like all these people who are coming out from architecture, and some of them are going into graphic design and architects. I don't know what else they're trying to go into, but because architecture is, I think now it's becoming very saturated in that market.
Okay.
And industrial design, I'm thinking that's going to be the same thing. My question is, the thing is, like, I find that industrial design, when we do industrial design, there's not enough amount of business related, and generally design, there's not enough business related, and but we're not, like, I think that's like you learn that through work, then after it you start, like you said, you want to make a rapid prototype of that product, right? And then you want to market it. So where do you like fit all this time in, That's and I'm just curious, I'm like, because everybody is different, and yeah, I just want to.
Are you talking about like how we find time to do everything?
Yeah, just,
Oh,
yeah.
Do I tell you the truth?
Like,
or
just
do I-
like, I'm not saying it like in like one day. I'm just saying it. How does it take it from in a monthly way, or like just taking a product and just.
Oh, okay. How long did it take? Okay, so I was gonna show you. So our first collection using a MakerBot took us a month to develop.
Oh.
And I did it hardcore, dudes. Like I did not sleep. It's not pretty, like is what I'm saying. So we wanted to do it fast because we knew it was hot. Newspapers wanted to write about it. So we really wanted, like we weren't even doing it for like that product per se. Timing was a lot of it. We developed it in a month. 3D printing allowed us to do it actually. It wouldn't have been possible if the technology wasn't there, but we were designing and we'd hit print. And while it's printing, we're working on the next iteration. And then we just print. And every 20 minutes, every half an hour, we get the thing and then we make a change. And it was hell, really, because, like making this stuff look good is hard.
But also,
probably.
isn't it really addicting because you get to see something go from virtual to like reality, and
Yes.
it's like so satisfying at the same time?
Yes, it's so satisfying, and you kind of get addicted, and at the time, I was just like totally obsessed. And the fact that, and at that time, like it was fun for me, like I could wear this, like,
Yeah.
jewelry was great because it was small, so it was actually 20-minute prints, not like 10-hour prints. That was a thing we consciously did. But the cool thing was I would take it off, we'd like put the hardware on it, and I'd go to work like the next day and I could wear it. And I could get people's feedback like instantaneously. It was really satisfying. And I think I got more enjoyment out of it than Matt did because I could wear it. I didn't make any men's jewelry.
So these are earrings.
Earrings, you know, we were like, oh, what's cool, okay? And then it's like, what could this be? And then we decided pendants, earrings, rings, you know, like, look how gross this looks. Like, so, you know, you start with something gross and you're like, oh, maybe there's a little thing here, and then you keep developing it.
With 3D printing, is it all just one material, or do you have diversity in that?
It's all one material as far as I think you guys are concerned. There's like real kind of speculative stuff happening, experimental stuff in basements and things like that. Nothing you can rely on to run a business, I would say. So yeah, it is one material, so that's a limitation to that.
You're talking, so finish.
Yeah, that's it. Oh, it's limited.
What is your inspiration culturally? Like, are you more inspired by Asian culture, or like some jewelries are made from different, you know, backgrounds, culturally?
Yeah, I'm really inspired by textiles. While we were doing this, I was accepted to go to school for like textile design in London. And I deferred it like 1 year to just do this because I was like, oh, this is gonna fail. Like, I'll like wait till it fails and then I'll go back to school. But it just didn't, and I deferred twice and I didn't go. But textiles for me, yeah, it's accumulative stuff. Like I really love anything that's built out of small units. I find it so like, it's so beautiful, and thinking about like natural forms that happen this way. And you know, inherent patterns that appear.
How about like not like nature, like?
I'm not so inspired by literal nature, but I'm really inspired by like nature, like structures, for example. Nothing like actually representative, but I like that philosophy of small things building up. 3D printing is that way. And a lot of like really interesting new materials that are breathable and things like that. I like the kind of distribution aspect of that and how like things don't have to be so distinct from another. Anyway,
So this is
that
3D
was a
printed.
part of this collection. Yeah?
This is 3D printed.
Yeah, so this is 3D printed. So yeah, we launched this product in like a month and a half. It was super fast. I wouldn't even say I like really like it anymore, but it's like, it was a stepping stone. And
What program do you use for these?
so this one we use Rhino to design.
Okay, and Grasshopper?
And Grasshopper to design, yeah. So it was based on a grid. And
Do you
then,
use anything else other than Grasshopper?
at the time we didn't,
No.
no, but you can.
Yeah. So like, what's other alternative softwares do you use?
All kinds,
Oh,
I
I
mean,
did
Blender,
some
SolidWorks, like
Yeah.
whatever you feel comfortable in, Maya. There's free software now, Autodesk is trying to come out with lots of free stuff, like 123D
123D
Design, Mesh Mixer for into sculpting. There's so many options, and you know, there's incentive for all those companies to make new software that's easier to use, because now all these people are into 3D printing.
So do you put the hardware on yourself, like the chains? and
Yeah,
stuff?
we did that ourselves.
Okay. So, but did you 3D print like the holes and whatever that would
That's
go in?
correct. You
Okay.
have- Yeah, so that's a great thing about it. You want to minimize assembly, minimize any kind of manual labor, so you build in as much of that as you can. Like if there's holes or you know you need to lighten it, it needs to be light for shipping or something, we designed these to be hollow. Like everything has to be taken into that.
So for these pendants and earrings, you didn't do that, like it would be available in multiple colors or one color and like all that thing which you do it for the initial jewelry, right? Like put a photo and then
Yeah.
sell them. Like
Yeah,
here
we
you
tried to
did.
do that. Yeah, we tried to strike a balance between doing 1,000 features
Okay.
that you can't actually support versus what like the customers liked. So we just tried to gauge where like the most traction could be, and then we
Okay.
tried to optimize for that. And then you know some sort of cohesiveness like visually when you do marketing and things like that. So there's different aspects you can take into consideration.
You said you made it hollow. What's the weight difference between the hollow necklaces and the?
Quite a bit. Like you can cut down the weight by like half if it was hollow, and that decreases your manufacturing time and manufacturing cost.
And in terms of like sustainability, like how long do these last, and like do you know like that kind of process?
I don't know how sustainable it is, like as in will it rot in 1,000 years or 10 or whatever. It's ABS plastic, which is the most generic plastic there is. It's what Legos are made out of. You know, it's there's a corn-based one called PLA. I don't know, I think we didn't decide to like use it for marketing purposes or anything, like that wasn't our spin, sustainability. But I would say like anytime I get that question about new technologies is nobody is operating this at the level of traditional manufacturing for it to make a single dent in any kind of environmental issue yet. So I'm not so concerned with that issue now because it's not really relevant, I think, in this scale.
Did you go to the Design Exchange 3D exhibit?
Yeah, we
Oh,
showed a
cool.
piece there. Yeah, really cool. Yeah, really cool things
Yeah, they
happening.
made
Like
a
all the
house.
schools.
You made a house?
Yeah, they 3D printed a house, and then I saw the
What is
robot
life?
arm move.
I was just gonna ask you
There
if you
was a lot of
integrate
good art.
3D printing into
Go 3D
architecture.
print humans.
That was like my intention to begin with,
Yeah.
and I was a little bit disillusioned when I'm working in it because the more you work in 3D printing, the more you realize all of the pitfalls. There's a lot. The reason why we did jewelry and not anything bigger is because it's not feasible.
Is that where the CNC machine comes in?
Yeah, that's where the laser cutter and the CNC comes in. Anything bigger, we do not choose that option unless you're building something highly valuable, like a part on a robot that needs to go to space.
Yeah.
You're not gonna make a chair, you're not gonna make a plate, you're not gonna make a cup because those items don't have enough value for how much it costs to manufacture them through 3D printing. So you have to be really careful about how you choose that medium. It's so infeasible for so many applications. And I tell that to my customers all the time. It depends on what you're doing. And the size has a huge factor. It's still really slow and expensive. We're building our business for the long haul to catch up to that at the point where it's ready. But as far as I can tell, like working in it for all this time, it's not so soon.
So your company's name is Hop Factory, and where this name come from?
It's the name of my iPod, minus the factory. So my iPod's name was Hot Pop because, you know, I prided myself in my taste in music. and you know when you pick your name, you think, oh, it has to have all this meaning. We were like specifically looking for easy to remember stuff that was available, like domains that were available. You're gonna find that's really constraining. Check out what you're thinking.
Yeah,
I know.
We're gonna cook some.
I know.
You first go look
I've
for the
heard all
website.
the iterations. I've heard all the iterations.
That's my question like all the time when I'm working on the posters of the stage today. I was like,
I know.
Are you gonna start merging like technology into your 3D printing designs?
Ooh, that'd be interesting.
What do you mean?
LED, like
Oh, okay.
now you're past jewelry, but
Yeah.
Wearable tech.
Yeah, there's so
Yeah,
much more
wearable
to this
tech.
presentation.
Oh,
We're
okay,
like
so
in the
let's-
beginning.
Let's go for it.
I'll go through it really fast.
yeah.
Don't interrupt.
Here's like how we made our images.
That's that one.
We use really whack images to try to get
Oh,
published a lot.
congrats.
So you use processing?
Yeah, we
Whoa.
use processing as well.
Oh, that's nice.
This is
How
the
big is-
chapter where we did 3D scanning and incorporated that into some furniture stuff. We try, like every project we did, just so you know, I think you should, like, this is the best advice I have for you. Every project you do, make it like a huge priority for yourself to document it really well and try to get it published. Do not do it if it's not going to be seen by other people. Maximize. Like, because when I was going to design school, like you don't think about that at all.
No.
And you do it for yourself, you do it for like the process, and it's really amazing, I love it. But if you're trying to build something, like make sure everything that you're spending time on gives you some sort of return, like in the long run. And at that time, we literally would take on projects because we knew it would be good press. And we knew it would be like an interesting image. Like we'd have that image in our head and be like, okay, that's the one I'm gonna pitch to this magazine because I think they would like that.
Yeah.
Because if you don't do that, then it's kind of like you didn't do that project at all
Yeah.
because you're not gaining any momentum to get to the next one. So make sure you do that.
Is that a rendering?
No, it's a photograph.
It's an actual photo.
So
How
so
large
for
is
this
it?
project, we decided I'm gonna pay a photographer to take this photo because I know it would be better than mine, and it's the money we're gonna invest to get it published. And there's like these little decisions that you can make to make sure you like try to get a little bit farther.
Yeah.
How large is this?
Tiny, so we made like mini Eames chair saddles that we built into like the spinal cord.
Just curious, for modeling, you know, you use processing and all these softwares. Do you do anything craftsmanship too, or no?
Mhm.
Do you work on that? Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so you work on, like, let's say paper
Yeah.
and foam and hoops.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I think so. If it's something you're comfortable with, definitely do it. I find it really, speed is a big aspect of like what you would choose.
Yeah.
Say you want to show someone something, what's like the fastest
Way.
and easiest way to show that idea? And sometimes it's not a rendering or a program. Sometimes it's just a piece of paper folded. So you can choose like what is the medium that best fits the purpose. Like we're building a web app right now, and we're making paper mock-ups. We're not even coding it because it's faster. And I know the first person I show is not going to like it, so I'm going to have to change it. So you choose the thing that's like the fastest for you to do. Not the fastest, most effective in translating
Efficient,
that message.
yeah, efficient.
What made you like inspired to be a jewelry designer?
It's nothing magical. The size of it, because it was efficient for 3D printing.
Yeah.
I liked being able to wear it personally. But a lot of it had to do with the fact that it was economically feasible for the size of the work.
Are you concerned about environmental issues?
Not right now. like I was saying, like anything that we're doing is at a really small scale.
Yeah.
And I really believe that it's more sustainable just by practice, because we're not making anything until it has some value to someone. So we never waste inventory. Like I literally have zero waste, and there's like a business incentive for us to maximize everything. Like when I have a piece of wood and I'm cutting stuff out of it, I make sure I'm cutting as many pieces as I can out of that piece of wood. You know, like I think when you're a small business by nature, you're sustainable because you have to.
Okay, last question. I always say that. My last question.
Nice seeing
So,
you.
like, you know, in programs, like, what do you use in terms of, like, you know, as students today, there's so
many.
there's
to
so many
learn.
programs, but nobody knows what
I
they're
know.
doing, right?
Depends. I gotta say, there's no easy answer.
Yeah.
Like it's what you're doing.
Yeah.
It depends on what you're doing. Go check out like the people you admire.
Yeah.
What kind of product are they making that's like what you want to make?
Okay.
Send them an email and ask. Like you can do that. Go to like things like this. You can ask each other.
Right.
I still use Rhino, but to be honest with you guys, I'm like deeply entrenched in marketing and sales these days.
Yeah.
I use like CRM software every day.
Nice.
So it really depends on what you're doing. Try to like optimize for what you're doing.
What's CRM?
Display.
What is it?
Oh, CRM, it's a way to keep track of your customers.
Oh, so that's something we were touching on, because
Oh, okay.
Hillary and I, or like everyone here, we're all like letting the grind like flourish and become beautiful. So we're spending less time like working on our products and our designs, doing these sales and like how do you find the balance to kind of go back? You know, like is that the 12 a.m. to 6 a.m. You know, like you know what I mean? Like what are you doing to like
What am I
still
doing?
keep up with your
Creative stuff.
yeah?
Okay,
Your
yeah,
engineering.
very good question. I have a lot of trouble with that personally.
With what? Creative?
With what I
With
just said.
balance.
With
With
what I
balance.
just said. Yeah,
When you
yeah.
have a successful company or becoming successful, you'll find that you're spending most of your time not making a product. You're spending most of your time selling it.
Yeah.
If you've gotten any traction, you're selling it, which is what you should be doing. So I know that's my #1 priority. And it should be anyone's priority, even if you are a designer. You'll have so much to learn. You will love it. Like it just makes the whole thing come full circle, because what you created now is in somebody else's hands. So I spend so I try to keep 80% of my time doing sales and business functions like completely. I saturate that, sometimes I go over. And what I'm doing personally is saying if I feel inspired by something at all, like walking down the street or whatever, I try to give some time to it and I try to indulge it. Otherwise, I'm completely in something else. So only when I feel like moved to do something, whether it's really, really fun or really, really inspiring, I'll make sure I just put in the time to do it. And I didn't do that for a long time. I was just like 1,000% sales. And what we decided in my company was that I was going to do that, and my partner was going to do operations and design, and we actually hired people to be creative for us, We ended up hiring young
Instead
people
of
who
hiring
were
people to do
inspired.
sales.
Yeah, you know who's the best seller of your product?
Yourself. Yeah, that's like,
Yeah.
that's so interesting.
Yeah, so we tried it, it didn't work. We tried someone to sell for us, it didn't work.
So what's the CRM again? What's
I
customer
use something called Pipe Drive, but you can use anything. You don't have to go crazy like looking it up or anything. It's just a way of emphasizing sales and keeping track of customers and making sure you follow up on leads and collect
It's like
leads.
Excel, but
Yeah, it's like there's an interface that allows you to do that, schedule meetings, make sure you call someone when you should,
Oh, wow.
make sure you
What is
follow
it,
up when you
Pipe Drive?
should.
So how big is your team right now?
So we were a team of 6. We made a mistake hiring out for sales,
Yeah.
so now I'm doing it.
yeah.
So we've actually shrunk that team down to 3 again, myself, my partner, and Harry, who's our production manager.
Who's her?
None of us have time to be
None
none of us actually have a lot of time to be creative. It's
Yeah.
a really good question. It's so hard.
I was thinking of Mahler.
But
But like, is your products and your innovation excelling because of the money that you have?
yeah, it's only possible because of
Because
that.
of, so it is a good thing that you're focused 100% on, or 80% on sales, so you can actually
Yeah.
start thinking like, okay, like when the technology reaches, like that's what you're hoping for, right? Or
Yeah,
aiming
that's
for.
what we're trying to do.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
because we know there's a little bit of a missed kind of lag right now, so
Yeah.
we emphasize on CNC and laser, which is subtractive manufacturing. We are building that up so it works by itself, so we have always
Okay.
customers coming in, revenue every month, you know, things like that. So only now, like literally now, 4 years later, are we at the point where we can scrape off the top and give it to R&D. And it's like the scariest thing ever because I know it won't generate any revenue for a while, if ever. So it's really, yeah, and like even just thinking, oh, I have to be like really innovative and creative and think of something new. Like I really wish that maybe like throughout this entire time I was trying to put in that, you know, indulge my curiosity more and things like that. It's a really hard balance. I think when you're really in it hardcore, you have to like be really, really militant about that. So I literally block out time in my calendar. Like I block out time for everything. I block out time for laundry. You'll find that you won't have time for laundry or food or anything. And so I block out time for 4 hours a week, and that is it, on my R&D project. That's all I have. My partner has more, but you kind of have to at some point. I bet I know people who are better at managing that than me, but it's what
But it
I'm
works
doing.
for you. It works for you. Yeah,
It's like it's what I can manage right now.
that's good.
I may have missed this completely, and I'm sorry, but does Pipedrive, is your email integrated into Pipedrive? So it's like, it's not, like they supply email addresses for you? Or-
No. Yeah, we actually hired someone to supply us
Seems like every note will be-
Oh.
So I mean, yeah, it's something you don't have to do for a while, I think, but it is something that I do a lot now, and it's something you should like look towards.
Okay, wait, no, I think I meant, instead of, like, not inputting other people's email addresses, but like your personal, like, your business email
Yeah,
addresses,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
are they with Gmail, Zoho, or
Yeah.
is it Pipedrive?
Yeah, so I just like BCC my Pipedrive, and then every email I'm sending gets tracked,
Oh.
and then I know I followed up with
okay.
that person. It's more of like a scheduling and organization tool.
Okay.
You gotta do all the
Thank you.
outreach
Yeah.
yourself.
Okay, yeah, I got it.
Okay, I gotta, like in terms, you have a business partner you said?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, how about business partner? What's like,
Oh,
what
okay.
can you talk about, like this part?
Sure, I'm
Because,
really lucky.
You know, like, I took Gorilla entrepreneurship one time,
Yeah.
and from what I heard, I had this illustrated teacher, and she told me like she had a business partner, and then she sued,
Yeah.
sued,
Oh,
you know.
okay.
So there's a lot of them like happening
Sure.
here.
okay, yeah, if you look up like what's the biggest like failure rate for like startups, like right up there is no market, like nobody wants to buy your thing, so I'm emphasizing the sales and things of it. Number 2 or just below that is founder disputes. It's like really, really common. It's like a marriage basically. Like my partner is my partner, so we're kind of like ride or die kind of. So I'm lucky in that sense. Like
Okay.
we talk about that a lot. Like wow, I have implicit trust for this person, so you don't need to sometimes I bet there's moments where it gets political and you want to be strategic
Yeah.
and stuff like that. We don't really have that, so I think I'm lucky in that sense.
Okay.
But not every team is that way. So yeah, it's
But
really
did you have a
tough.
paper thing?
If it doesn't work, you should break up. That's
But
the tip I have.
you don't have like a sign with the paper or something that does.
Yeah, you should definitely
Yeah,
have
you
a
have a
contract.
contract.
With your partner.
Yes.
And when you say your partner is your guy partner, like.
Yeah, like he's my
Yeah.
boyfriend. We're basically married because we have a business contract.
Yeah.
It's more serious than a marriage contract.
You lose
It's more
that.
like
You
The
lose
person
Yeah.
there, you know?
Entire lives
Cheat
on
on me. I sue
Kinda,
you.
yeah. Yeah, you gotta like write your will, like when you're in your 20s. It's crazy.
No.
Yeah, you should definitely be official about it. We
Good to know.
yeah, we joined Mars and they gave us
Oh.
like free lawyers.
Nice.
They drew up our contract for us. That was a really big help. So we had a pro bono lawyer through that program.
Which
and I think
program?
there's lots
Yeah,
of
pro bono lawyers.
It's the Mars, like, it's the client one. It's the really common one. You're not in a program.
Oh,
You're just
okay,
like, they just
okay.
support you.
Cool.
So you can get accounting help and like attorney help, and you should keep your books from the beginning. Do your finances, like do it for real. Because if you ever want to sell your company or get investment, like you have to have finances and it has to be proper. Don't cheat, pay your taxes, like do everything proper because you're gonna regret it if you didn't, just to get by at some point. It won't be worth it if you actually become successful and there's some like some housekeeping thing that you didn't do or whatever, it'll come back and bite you.
So if I have like a socially innovational company, Mars will provide me a pro bono lawyer? Is that how that works?
Yeah,
Okay,
and
cool.
you could look on the website, like they have really good documentation. You don't have to be socially anything. You're creating job opportunities in Ontario, like that's, and there's lots of grants and stuff out there you should look into. We decidedly didn't do any because we found that we sucked at making them, the applications. We weren't successful ourselves, and we realized instead of trying to get money from the government, I should try to get some money from my customers who may become return customers, who may pay off in the long run. So we actually focus on sales specifically to not apply for any grants, because applying for grants takes a ton of time.
Yeah.
And plus, it's like you have to pay it back, right?
No, those are loans.
No, they'll give you free money. Yeah. So I mean, it's kind of like you decide. I know lots of people who've done really well and like went really far with government funding.
Yeah.
If you know how to write them, you're good. If you're a minority, if you're female, if you're under 30, you're like really qualified. Like I should be really qualified, but we haven't had any time to write them. They take forever.
And a lot of the time it's like for not-for-profits or charities and stuff.
That's
Like,
true,
you
but
need
there's
a
other ones.
Yeah.
You guys could look into the IRAP one, which is for R&D and industrial things. There's like this tax credit called the shred credit, where they just give you like a rebate and you can claim your R&D. If you're not making money off your work right now, you could apply for this.
Cool.
Called what?
IRAP.
IRAP?
A-R-A-P. Sorry, I-R-A-P. I'll just talk through the rest of this. It's this kind of just goes into our next phase. So after doing all of this production stuff, having designed a product, the next stage for us is customization interfaces. Not everyone knows CAD or, Rhino like you guys. And I think the only thing missing from that chain, from that, idea to physical thing, everything is kind of there, like the manufacturing, the computers. The thing that's missing is for the consumer to be able to interact with this process. So we're investing our time now into building that interface, and we want it to be web-based. And in particular, for the product that we're developing, it's going to be e-commerce. So a lot of the work that we had done kind of leading up to that is about how do you make people or show people who don't know anything about design or 3D space or aesthetics and style, how do you give them a piece of that design process so that they can participate in the manufacturing process and what they will eventually own. So we're developing that a lot. So we've played with like gesture control, there's new VR stuff. I mean, the world is so exciting. There's all kinds of different ways that people can interact with digital mediums, but also physical mediums. So that's the next step for us.
Are you, is it OpenGL for the web? Are you using OpenGL?
No, we can't use it because it's not so well supported. Like what we're doing right now needs to work on iPhones and iPads.
Right.
So we can't use anything. We're like, we gotta invent it.
That's so
It's our
cool.
problem.
She's gonna be so cheap in like 10 years. You guys are like paving that way. I can see it.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I just
feel like,
draw it
yeah,
and, like,
there's this danger of us like paving the way and then we'll like die because we.
Get back. No, I think you'll be fine.
And then
I think you'll be
everybody else
fine.
will do it.
But
And
now-
it's fine. You gotta just do something.
Was that your event that you just showed?
Yeah. So we use the. Do you guys know?
Leap motion?
Yeah, the
Yeah,
leap
it's such a
motion.
cool device.
So we use that to allow kids to be able to finger paint in like 3D space, like
Yeah,
just
so
without
cool.
knowing anything, no mouse, no clicking. So they just went like that, and then we were able to generate 3D models from that movement. So it's abstract, but you know,
Yeah.
those are like exercises that we're kind of trying all the time.
Did you guys write that software yourself, or does it come
Yeah,
with
it's
Leap motion?
really scrappy. Yeah, we wrote it ourselves.
Yeah,
Matt wrote it.
that's cool.
Nice.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so I don't think I'm gonna show you any more. There's more, but I'm not showing it to you because there's so much. But yeah, if you have other questions, and then I think
That's
we're gonna
it.
run soon.
Yeah, thank
Okay.
you so much.
Yeah, I really want to know.
With that,
Wait, she can send us a presentation.
Really?
Yeah. Do you,
Is the wearable tech in that presentation? Like, when
have you done
it?
wearable tech?
yeah, we worked with wearable tech people.
Okay.
We worked with Kate Hartman to
Okay,
produce her
okay.
Kickstarter campaign. So we work on a lot of Kickstarter campaigns to help them fulfill their orders.
Nice.
Because at the quantities you sell, you can't manufacture it like overseas at all. So a lot of the people we're working with are dealing with like under 1,000 units or under 5,000 units if it's small. So we do help a lot of wearable tech folks.
Okay.
We're not dabbling so much in like IoT or electronics and stuff right now, but it's definitely a hot area.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this